Hey, it's Mike over at fishyourassoff.com, and today what I'm talking about is having what's the best tackle for snook fishing right here around Florida. I get some of these questions, what do you use, what rods, reels, etc. And that's really what I want to cover for you here today. And it also depends on where you're catching these snook. If you're catching them off the beach, they got nowhere to wrap you up, so you can get away with a little less. If you're trying to catch some of these big fat sows that are up in the dock pilings, well, you're going to have to beef up your reel for the most part to get them out of there. So that's really what we're going to cover today. Is basically the prices and sizes of the rods and reels you're going to need to catch snook here fishing in Florida. All right. So what's the best tackle for snook fishing here in Florida? Okay. I usually use a 2500, 3500, somewhere around that size reel for snook, but I'm usually catching them out on the flats, something like that, or maybe up against the mangrove, something where I got a real good shot at getting them out if I hook them. I'll hook a decent sized one. If you're fishing strictly docks and bridge pilings for those really big ones, you need at least 4,000 to 5,500 because you're going to need something that you can get a lot of braided line on. If you're getting the real big ones, you might even want a 30, 40-pound braid to get them out of those dock pilings. When I'm fishing, most of my smaller reels are only set up with 8 to 10-pound braids. So it just depends on where you're fishing for the snook on, really what size spinning reel you're going to need. So if you're going to be horsing some monsters out of the dock pilings or the bridge pilings, you're going to be stepping up to 5,500, at least 4,000, and you're going to have a much higher strength test that you're going to be using. I basically always fish with 7-8 foot medium heavy fishing rods. I just do. Unless I'm doing some of my surf fishing, when I cast those big plugs for tarpon and sharks off the beach, I think my surf casting rod is 10 foot, maybe 11, but that's a whole different deal. That's surf casting, so different deal. But any other time when I'm targeting these snook, that's basically what I'm going for. And a pretty good indicator on the rod is, a 7-8 foot rod. For intercoastal fishing or wherever you're doing, you can find great rods for $50, on the low end, $100, on the higher end. I know there's a lot more expensive rods out there, custom rods with this and that are very specifically tuned for something, but I don't really ever pay more than $50 or $100. So that's pretty much my range as far as what I'm willing to pay for a rod. And as far as I'm concerned about reels, all the reels that I buy are usually somewhere between $100 and $250. Sure, I've bought some of those cheap $40, $50 ones, but the first big tarpon or something you get on there a lot of times will just cook your drag system right away. So here you get this thing, you get a big fish on, and your reel's toast after one big fish because it strips out your gears. So these are my prices. So basically on the high end, you might pay $350 for what I believe is a super great combo. On the lower end, you're going to pay somewhere around $150 for a very decent, but not crappy, but not the best. That's how I do it anyways. So maybe my idea of what's the best tackle for snook fishing might be different from somebody else, but I'm kind of cheap, and I just think you just need the good bearings, and you need a good drag system, and you need a nice spine on your rod. You need to be able to get some of these fish out of it. You don't want something that's going to snap in half when you get a big fish. But I don't think you really need to pay that much for them. That's just my opinion. There's people that disagree. They always do. But that's how I do it, and I've caught plenty of snook using systems like this. I usually use Shimano and Penn, but I'm agnostic about that. You know, if someone handed me something better, I would admit it and I would start using that. But those work just fine for me, and that's what I've used, so that's all I can really talk about. But I think that's about it. If you want to learn more about fishing, go to www.fishyourassoff.com. We have a how-to section, a where-to section, what fish to target. The whole website is simple tips to help fishermen catch more fish. It's really the bottom line. But that's it for today. So until next time, we'll see you then. All right. Bye-bye.